Now that the left has their puppet in the White House, they're doing everything in their power. They're using every penny they got to transform our country and to make it just like Venezuela. So we need to do everything we can do. We need to use every penny we got to stop it. So please go to realestateforlife.org if you are buying or selling real estate or have any real estate needs, such as a real estate lawyer, a moving company, whatever. And I promise you, every penny spent will go to a pro-life, pro-freedom company that will donate a portion of their money to a pro-life organization. Please go to realestateforlife.org and tell them Blue Collar Catholic sent you. So Black Lives Matter, the organization, the self-proclaimed Marxist organization, publicly came out this week saying they support the terrorist organization Hamas. There's so many Democrats, elected Democrats in Congress today that I've lost count, but I would say conservatively dozens of them that came out with anti-Semitic remarks, anti-Israel remarks. Alan Dershowitz, lifelong Democrat activist, campaigned for Obama, campaigned for Hillary Clinton, has said that his party, the Democrat Party, has an anti-Semitic problem, that all the anti-Semites are on the left today. There's none on the right. And I'm going to tell you why. But let me just first tell you what's going on today. So, of course, Black Lives Matter. As Christians of the Universal Church, the Catholic Church, we're a universal church. Every race and tribe is part of this church. Okay? So, racism is a sin the Catholic Church does not put up with. But the Black Lives Matter organization is a Marxist organization that last summer attacked the police, they attacked the church, they were attacking Catholic churches, pulling down statues of Jesus, pulling down statues of Mary and the saints. They were chanting, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Right now. Pigs in a blanket. Fry them up. Referring to cops as pigs. And a Democrat leader recently, Cori Bush, Congresswoman, came out and praised the woman that actually made those chants for Black Lives Matter. So today in New York City, just like the Black Lives Matter organization was beating people up and attacking the courthouses and firebombing police stations last summer, now in New York City, Jews are being jumped. A Jewish man was just beaten so badly he's in critical condition in the hospital today in New York City. His crime was being Jewish. There's Jews being spit on, Jews getting bottles thrown at them just for being Jewish. So the same tactics the left used with the Black Lives Matter organization, they're using against the Jews today. And you might be scratching your head wondering, I thought the Democrats always say the Nazis are on the right. Why? What's going on here? Well, I'll explain. There's a couple things going on here. Number one, the left, my whole life, has always used the same tactic. Call your enemy what you are. So, for example, the Democrat Party is literally the party of Jim Crow. Every state legislator who passed Jim Crow laws were Democrat-controlled in the 60s. Not one Republican state passed Jim Crow laws. Yet, Democrats call the Republican Party the party of Jim Crow. Our racist crime is we just want people to show an ID when they go and vote. Because we know black people are smart enough to have a license or an ID just like white people. There's no difference. But Democrats like to patronize and say, oh, these poor black people, they don't know how to get a license. They may not have access to a computer. They're actually the most racist people on the planet, the people that say this. So the party of Jim Crow calls the Republican Party the party of Jim Crow. In fact, even the federal civil rights laws that were passed by a majority of Republicans when a majority of Democrats voted against those civil rights laws. And the left will always argue, well, all those racist Democrats became Republican. Only one did. You look it up. Only one crossover, Strom Thurmond in the Senate. The rest of the Senate and the entire House Democrats that voted against civil rights stayed Democrat till they died or retired, including a former KKK Grand Kleagle, Robert Byrd, who the Democrats elected as their leader, the Senate Majority Leader, in the 90s. So the party of Jim Crow is calling the Republican Party the party of Jim Crow. I mean, these guys are literally the party of Jim Crow. So, why would Black Lives Matter be, part of the Democrats? Why wouldn't they hate the Democrats? Well, because, if your enemy is my enemy, you're my friend, that old saying. And Black Lives Matter says in their website that they're Marxists. So they hate the freedom-loving Republicans, okay? And that's the same reason they hate Israel, because the leaders, the girls that started the Black Lives Matter movement are lesbians, and Hamas kills lesbians and homosexuals. So why are they supporting Hamas when Israel's the only country in the Middle East you're free to be homosexual? Again, because Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East, and Marxists hate democracies. So that's why they hate Israel. And after the Republicans freed the slaves during the Civil War, the Democrats created the KKK to keep the blacks in line. This is a historical fact. And who else did the KKK hate besides blacks? They hated Catholics and Jews. So this same party is attacking Catholics and Jews. I mean, look at Black Lives Matter last year. What were they attacking? Statues of Jesus, Catholic churches, tearing down statues of Mary and their saints. And again, with the Jews, they're very anti-Semitic. Black Lives Matter say the most anti-Semitic statements. And Democrat leaders also say the most anti-Semitic statement. And it's not just the young and the dumb like AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib. It's these old guys, even Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is calling for the United States to withhold funding from Israel to protect itself. Israel is just a little sliver in the Middle East, the tiniest country in the Middle East, surrounded by huge, powerful countries that in their constitutions call for the elimination of Israel, the destruction of Israel. You have sworn enemies all around them saying they will not stop until every Jew is killed. And Bernie Sanders doesn't want to give them money to defend themselves. And of course, Joe Biden, he's a 60-year politician. That's all he's ever done. And he knows the right words to say are, Israel has a right to defend herself. Yet, he's given money to Iran, which is giving money to Hamas to bomb Israel. See, under Trump stopped all that money. And you notice there was nothing going on in the Middle East when Trump was president. He was the president of peace. But he stopped, it wasn't just coincidence, he stopped the peace by stop funding the terrorists, stop giving Iran, who gives money to the terrorists who attack Israel, money, and the attack stopped. So Biden can say all he wants, he's for Israel's defense of protecting, they can defend themselves. But look at his actions. His actions speak much louder. So I'm telling you, we need to pray for Israel, and we need to politically crush the Democrats. We cannot allow them to have power. They know in 2022 it's not looking for them good politically. So they're trying to push all their anti-Semitic, all their anti-American, all their anti-freedom stuff in now. And they're coming at us with record numbers of executive orders. I mean, Biden's acting like a fascist dictator with, over 50 executive orders. And they're all anti-American, anti-life, anti-Christian. I mean, he's pushing the most radical agenda. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops has said that it's an evil agenda, the most anti-Catholic administration we've ever seen, because he's trying to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions through the 9th month and to perform sex change operations on children. This is their crazy agenda. And I know I digressed and got off of the topic at hand, but I just want you guys to know we are fighting evil, and we need to overcome it through prayer and fasting and taking of the sacraments. But we also, the Bible says faith without works is dead. This is why I tell you right on the onset, if you're buying or selling real estate, don't give your money to some woke company that's going to give your money to Black Lives Matter, because what Black Lives Matter does, the same thing Al Sharpton used to do, they threaten companies, if you don't donate $1 million, we're going to boycott you. This is literally what they do. This is why one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter is so wealthy. She hasn't worked in years, and she bought 3 homes totaling over $1.6 million last year. And she had the nerve last week to say the housing market is racist. Can you buy 3 homes for $1.6 million? And I'm sure you work a lot harder than she does. So my point is, go to realestateforlife.org if you are buying or selling real estate. And make sure every penny that you spend goes to a company that's pro-freedom and pro-life. And, pay attention, vote. And I know some of you guys don't like when I get political, but it's all connected. It's all connected. Politics affect our church. Politics affect our country. We're free to worship the way we want to worship, but we've seen they can make an excuse to take that right away and shut our churches down. And this is how the left controls their people, with fear. The lefties are so fearful of climate change, so they'll get them to ride bicycles and give up driving a car. That's what they do in Switzerland, or Sweden. They're fearful of a virus, so they'll give up all their rights. They'll surrender all their rights. This is what the left uses, fear. And then in turn, their followers use violence. Well, actually fear. They try to instill fear with violence. This is how they operate. So we need to defeat them with prayer and, spend our money to defeat them, I believe there's more freedom-loving, pro-life Americans than there are Marxists. So we need to put our money where our mouth is and defeat this enemy of the church and defeat this enemy of freedom. So God bless. Pray for our Jewish brothers that are under attack, and stay Catholic.